Um, yeah, man, I am super proud of you, and I'm glad that you brought that up earlier about how just the fact that people would show up to your classes and tune in to find out what you have to say has boosted your confidence and ability and everything.
Yeah,
It really does, man. It really does. Because
because that's people putting in their value.
people putting in their value, and then also there's like an aspect of accountability as well, right? Um, because me personally, like I'm a very disciplined person, right? Like you know this, I'm super disciplined, but I'll still slack off when it comes to me, right? If it's something that
Yeah.
I just really don't like
It's like
doing,
holding
like with the
the
social media,
gun, the bank
there you go.
robbery. They put the gun
Exactly.
to your head. You're like, man, go on, pussy.
Go ahead, we do it.
And
You're
then they hold it to grandma's head, and you're like, oh,
like,
all
all right,
right,
all
I'll
right,
go
all right,
and
okay,
come on down.
all right, you got it. Right.
You're not going
It's
to sit
it's
there
one
and
of
say,
those
well,
deals.
she lived her life.
Right. And another thing, I'll do that on purpose too. Like if it's something that I know I'm gonna have a tendency to procrastinate or maybe not be as, disciplined on, I will intentionally go tell people that I'm gonna do it. So it does hold me accountable. Right. So if it's like, when I was quitting smoking cigarettes and things, right? I already knew that I might want to sneak off and smoke a cigarette every once in a while, right? So I went
Yeah,
and told everybody that I knew and that I see on a regular basis that I was going to quit smoking cigarettes. And you know how I am. I hate looking stupid. I can't stand looking stupid. So that I'm not going to go tell a million people that I'm going to do something and then go hang around with all these people and not do it.
yeah,
Right. So there's an accountability aspect, but there's also just that energy, man. I told you it's all frequencies. 17 seconds of focused thought. After 17 seconds, it starts to attract like frequencies. After 68 seconds, it starts to actually manifest into reality. Compounds. So if you're producing positivity and you have good intentions and you're putting a lot of effort and energy and work into giving back and helping others, and just being more of a fountain than a drain, you're going to start to attract those like frequencies and those like people and those like-minded individuals that want to do the same. And if you're being more of a fountain than a drain, and everyone around you is being more of a fountain than a drain,
yeah. It's kind of like,
that's how you make an ocean. That's how you make an ocean, bro.
yeah, it's kind of like Reaganomics,
Yep.
where those who have the most start to trickle down and it fills up the next people with the most, and everybody starts overflowing like a tiered fountain.
Mhm. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Hold on. We got three. We got
Uh
three.
oh. Yeah. Somebody jump in.
All right.
Welcome to the second class or Zoom.
It's me, Brandy. How y'all doing, fellas?
You missed
Oh,
the
what's
first
up? So,
one. You and
Randy, you can hear about the project that I'm thinking about doing. So, you remember like back in the day how they had MTV behind the music? We're
me.
going to do it as like a trader who is interviewing crypto developers, but mainly token creators, market makers. And so the investor is going to have audio and video interviews that they can watch. They're going to have an area where the creator and the developers themselves can post on a thread forum and give out all this information about their projects. And it's going to be like the backstage pass to the token creator and the blockchain developers.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really big thing.
It is.
I mean,
Everything that we're doing right now is going to be huge in the months and especially years to come, right? Because think about this. Um, there's still a large percentage of the world that has no idea what cryptocurrency is. They have no idea what decentralized finance is. Um, hell, most people don't even know how to invest in fucking stocks. You know,
Yeah.
I would compare this age that we're in right now to probably
It's the
when
beginning of the financial renaissance.
yeah, but it's not the financial renaissance because we've had several of those. This is
Hmm.
probably even more influential than when we came off the gold standard with the Emergency Banking Act and stuff. Because that completely changed the whole financial system, right? Everybody went from, you know, and that's kind of where we're at now, right? Because then it's not like they just completely shifted the whole makeup of the currency or the system. You still were using Federal Reserve notes. It was still implemented in the same type of system. It was just, the currency was just not the same. It wasn't backed by the same value that it once was, right?
Well, crypto's going to have the same type of or the same amount of impact on finance as the
It's going to even more,
Rothschilds did on banking.
I would say even more so, because then when the Emergency Banking Act happened, and they took all the gold and everything, like, there were a lot of people that were not cool with that shit. There were a lot of people that were not happy about having to turn in all that shit, and the system being, shaken up, and then think about it, you're saying, oh, your currency was backed by gold, but now it's not. But you're still going to use the dollars. Just it's not going to be backed by gold anymore. A bunch of people. I know if it would have been me, I'd have been like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, no, this is not going down. I am not
Yeah, I
turning in my
still
gold.
can't really figure out why or how they sold to that as being beneficial.
What they did is they offered like buybacks, and then they created shit like the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Company, to insure. So every deposit is insured federally, for up to $250,000. I think it was 25,000 when they first implemented it, but that's the way they were able to do it. And just by sheer force, right? They
So
went on a
because it was
10-day.
insured, people missed
No,
the
that was
elephant in the
just
room that it was being devalued.
no, the insured part was just to get the people, at the top that were like, hell no, I'm not going with it, to go along, right? The
Yeah,
people
that's
at the bottom,
basically what
they
I
didn't have a
said.
choice, bro. They didn't have a choice. They went on a 10-day banking holiday, and then when they came back, it was just it was different. The banks shut every bank in the whole country shut down for 10 days. And then they came back and there was no more gold.
Yeah, it is.
It's
I'm fixing
crazy.
to hook
So
up the other
people were
hash board.
forced. They were forced into that. But this is going to be way different, right? Because
Yeah, I'm going to.
there's so many people that are going to want to go along with this. They're going to want to participate in the wealth transfer. They're going to want to be a part of cryptocurrency and decentralized finance. That's a lot different than completely changing the system and forcing people that don't want to do it to follow along, you know? And then it's literally the same basic setup because we've been using digital currency for years. If you've
Well, I
used a
really
credit
hadn't had
card,
the money.
you might want to mute if you're not talking to us. It's the same. We've been using digital currency forever, right? If you've used a credit card or a debit card, if you got a mobile banking app, if you got Cash App, if those are all digital currencies.
Yeah, those are all steps towards.
It's literally just an electronic fund transfer, except with cryptocurrency and decentralized finance, there is no real controlling, governing force that gets to dictate, how and what you can do with it. Like, you can be that dictating force yourself. You can create your own asset, and then you can control how it's administered, used, and everything. And with NFTs, dude, people have no idea the power of NFTs. They really just don't see it. Like they still think it's just some digital fucking picture, that you can sell and buy and, trade and it's cool. Dude, it's like infinite possibilities and potential from NFTs. They could be bonds, they could be fucking records, they could be anything, they could be an asset, they could be a token.
Oh,
Anything that
well,
you
we
can
got somebody
press
else.
put digitally, you can put it into an NFT.
What's up, Kevin?
What's up, bro? Yeah. So that's what me and Walt have actually been working on lately. Is just really brainstorming and really JoJo. She has had some amazing ideas for the NFT, and she's actually really taken huge steps in the NFT department as far as like tying them to tangible real world assets. Like when I did I believe it was the Web3 class or the 30-day challenge class, one of the classes that she was selling. Um, Instead of paying her for it, what I did was I got online and I donated to her nonprofit organization, right, which was tax free for her, right, and a tax write off for me. So she didn't have to list it as income. I didn't have to list it, or I got to list it as a write off, right? And then I purchased, so the money that I donated to her church purchased an NFT, right? And the NFT that I bought planted an actual tree in real life. So it was
Oh,
a
cool.
complete, yeah, it was an untaxable event.
A carbon offset.
Yes, and a carbon offset. So it was environmentally friendly. There was no taxes, and we still got to use the funds, right? And we're going to
You
do
might
something.
even be able to write that off further as a carbon
Yeah,
offset.
yeah, you can. And we're actually going to be implementing a lot of really cool things coming soon because, as far as like Block Cycle Labs, we don't really have like an articles of incorporation. It doesn't have an EIN, so there's no actual like company or corporation or entity that's Block Cycle Labs, right? It's just kind of a community that we've just kind of been running, as a corporation type. But there's ways around those taxes and things because the majority of the time what people do is they file their taxes as an individual, they list their wages and the money that they make as income, and then they are showing no business or entity that has business expenses or write-offs to offset the income. And so the way taxable income works is you take the amount of money that you make, right? The income that you make, and you subtract your business expenses and tax write offs. And what's left is the amount that the IRS can actually tax, right? And so whatever that amount is puts you in whatever tax bracket you're in and determines the percentage they can tax. So if you got a
Now,
shit ton of income as an individual and no business expenses to go against it, then you're going to get taxed on all of that income. But
if I
let's say,
leave my money on the blockchain, is it a capital gains moment, or is that only when I return it to the wallet or take it off chain?
you know what, I'm going to dig a little deeper into that, but I have been kind of looking into that. Basically, as long as you don't realize the gain. So if you take that money, so if you, let's say if you send it to a centralized exchange like Coinbase, you got to link your social, you got to do all that shit, right? So all the money that you send from your bank to that centralized exchange is going to be listed and all that, right? And then once you transfer it from the exchange to your wallet, well, then it kind of gets a little tricky. It's not like they can't go back and track it, but it'd be a lot harder. But I believe that it still should work on the same principles as like real estate, right? So if I invest in $100,000 house and I sell that house for 200,000, right? Well, that's $100,000 capital gain that I can be taxed on, right? Wrong.
Yeah,
Because I'm going to take that 200,000 and I'm going to reinvest it into a $200,000 house. So I didn't
because
realize
now
shit.
you're in debt.
Right.
which
I
makes you
didn't realize
untaxable
no gain. I took that and immediately invested it in another
and put
asset.
yourself in debt.
Right. So you can do the same thing, because I really don't see how they could. I just don't see how they could do it any differently.
Yeah, because that's what
Because
I was thinking. As long as I'm taking my profits and I'm re-putting it into the farms, re-putting it into the loans, it should be just the same as like what you're talking about because now I'm putting my wallet in deficit.
yeah, unless they're going to try to, you know what? The IRS just received like 42 new
Okay.
manuscripts. I'm going to read through them. A lot of it has to do with cryptocurrency. So I do want everybody to be aware. People are under the impression that you're never going to have to pay taxes or whatever with DeFi or cryptocurrency. That's not the case, guys. Like the government's coming for their money,
But
and
we need to be smart enough to leverage the
exactly
law to our favor.
that's how you
Pay
should do
your
it.
taxes.
Well, don't pay your taxes, but report.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right, right. Yeah, you got to be careful with that because you start talking about I don't pay taxes, and everybody's going to pitchfork you
Yeah.
and say you're a
I
terrorist.
mean, if you can be a person who reports and you pay in minimal or nothing, I would just go ahead and use the phrase, yes, I pay my taxes, because you have, in fact, reported and you have, in fact, handled your taxes
There's a huge difference between tax
because you're
avoidance.
paying them with their own loopholes or their own law, their own protocol.
Right.
Because
And most
the
people don't
debt, the
know the law.
tax debt is being satisfied. So that is whether the money comes out of your pocket or not, the
Right.
tax is being satisfied and it has been paid.
Or there is no taxable income to tax you on in the first place. A lot of people don't realize everything that you do involving the courts, involving the IRS and the government is offer and acceptance. Most people think they get a letter in the mail from the IRS that says you owe $10,000. That's just the way it is. You owe $10,000. That's actually not the case. It is an offer, and you can choose, to accept it.
Petition it.
You have these things called conditional acceptances, right? And in a conditional acceptance, because the way law works is you have honor and dishonor, right? If you have acted in good faith and have remained in honor the entire time, you can win a case solely on that. So let's say that you acted in honor and you acted in good faith the entire time, and let's say that you actually did owe a debt to a company or a corporation or whatever, right? But you filed a conditional acceptance in honor with good faith, saying, "Okay, I will agree to the offer on these conditions. First, I need you to provide written documentation proving that you loaned me money." Right? So they can't do that. They can't prove if it's a loan from a bank or from something. They can't prove it because they didn't loan you shit. You gave them permission to access the Federal Reserve window on your name, and they issued funds out of your account to you and then got you to sign contract agreeing to give them the note, allow them to trade it, keep the interest. You gave them first priority security interest. If it's a car, you gave them the right to repo. If it was a mortgage, you gave them the right to foreclose. And then you agreed to come back every month and pay them as well. What was supposed to happen is you were supposed to walk into that financial institute and they were supposed to issue the loan to you, put a finance charge on it, and get their percentage on it.
So basically, we have been tricked into being charged to being the creditor to the bank.
Yes, you have allowed the bank and you to actually switch roles, and that's where like the legalese comes into play is because people don't even understand or know the difference between a creditor. They don't even know what a creditor is. And believe it or not, you are the creditor. As a matter of fact, the Truth in Lending Act, the TLAC, was passed around the same time that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And that was the first time that Congress actually passed an act or a bill kind of detailing how the banks and the finance companies were doing these loans. Nobody knows about it. Nobody really read it because, when you think back to that time, all you know are civil rights and the assassination of Martin Luther King. Pretty crazy. They're very good at that.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is you can literally find out all the truth by just going to the Library of Congress and reading. Yeah,
So,
Mike said sometimes they add a finance charge and still make you pay the interest. Yeah, they do. They definitely do. And then the crazy part is they sell the note, you know, 50 million times and make money off of that too. And whoever they sell the note to, here's the crazy thing, right? Technically, if you get a loan and they sell the note, right? Whoever has the note is collecting the interest. Um, but once they sell it, they no longer have the right to collect those service fees.
so Chris, while we got a few people on here, uh, you think we ought to kind of touch back on the business plan, and I can kind of show
Yep.
mine, and me and you can kind of go through.
Yeah,
If you'll let me
absolutely.
share my screen.
Yeah, let me make you the host real quick. I would definitely encourage anybody that's listening to definitely do one of these business plans. It could be a goal list. It could be a calendar or a roadmap for 2025. But you at least need to list three short term, three mid-term, and then three long-term goals and stick to them. First, you need to find out your risk tolerance, the amount of money that you can afford to risk. And then, well, no, first you need to decide what your goal is. All right. So he set out a they're called SMART goals, right? Because they're specific, they're measurable, attainable, recordable, and I think it's time efficient, or no, I forget what the third one or the last one is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
they need to be a specific, right? You don't want to have vague goals because then it's very easy to say you hit them and didn't, or then you can actually talk yourself out of hitting it when you really did. So set like a specific goal that has criteria that is measurable, that you can record, and that you can go back and check to see like how far you've came and how close you are to the goal. But it needs to be defined. And there needs to be like a time, right? Like you don't want to say, "Oh, I just want to make $1 million," you know, and that be it, right? Because then you're just literally, you've got all that room for procrastination and excuses for why you haven't done it. Well, I'm only 40, I'm not going to die for another 20, 30, so you'll wait. So make it timely, make it measurable, make it attainable. First of all, you don't want to set a goal that's too high and miss it, and now you're discouraged, right? You'd be better off setting a lower goal, hitting that goal, building on that momentum and that positivity and encouragement, and then hitting another goal. You'd be much better off doing that than you would to set a unreasonable goal that you can't hit and then be discouraged when you don't.
yeah. So right here where it says the 2025 experiment. So for those of you who aren't really familiar with me and Chris have been friends since, we were like 9, 10 years old. We typically, if one of us has a good business idea, we reach out to the other, and we've been working with each other literally 30 years.
On
And so Chris has a different school of thought on finance than I do, him being a token creator. And while I am more of I'm looking to make equity in assets, liquidate the equity, and move on. So,
You know what?
with
This
the
is a
way,
let's stop right there and just touch on that, because I know a lot of people hear the word equity, but they probably really don't understand what equity is. Um, so let's say me and Nathan decide to invent a product, right? And let's say I have no money, and let's say Nathan has all kinds of money, right? But let's say Nathan doesn't know how to invent the product, but I do, right? So Nathan puts all the money up. I put no money in, but I put all the work and my creative talents and intellectual property into actually creating the invention. We sell the invention. Who gets the money? Can
depends on the
anybody?
business agreement.
Well, it does. That's why contracts are very important, right? Because if we had a pre-existing contract together, then we would go by that lawful binding contract. But let's say
But
that we did.
typically, who put up the money will get the largest amount.
Well, that's what most people think, but that's where equity comes into play because equity is the right to something besides financial compensation, right? So when you have like equitable remedies, right? That's when you're actually seeking equality, justice, fairness from something, right? That's like kind of like going back to the biblical times for the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That's equity. So
So I may
I
have actually used the word
technically
wrong.
Right. I technically have just as much right to the proceeds in that product as you do, even though I had no financial stake in it. Right. Because the fact of the matter is, equity is equality, it's fairness. Right. So, yeah, you might have put the money up, but you could not have invented it without me. Right. And vice versa. Yeah. I had the know how to make the product, but I couldn't have funded it without you. So we both have equity in this product. And that's equity. Equity is fairness, guys. Equity is like your right to something, whether it be compensational, financial, or equity.
Yeah. So with the Wave token, it's the only token that's going to be in my portfolio that if it goes parabolic in the bull run, that I am not selling. I'm going to ride the peak and buy the dip.
There
It's
you go.
completely foreign. I feel like I sound insane saying it. Now, like IPT, I currently am a 2% holder of, and once it hits high, I plan on selling it high. And if an opportunity comes in the bear market where I can buy 5% back, I plan to do that. And I plan on spending 60% of uh, I'm going to put 60% probably into stable coin on Folks and wait for that opportunity.
Okay. Let's take this opportunity to just talk about kind of the differences, right? Let's say that you were investing back in the day when Bitcoin first came out, right? Let's
Yeah.
say that it wasn't what it is now. Nobody knew about it. As a matter of fact, everybody was telling you not to buy it because it's a scam, right? Let's say that you took money that you had in a savings account building, whatever, 0.001%, right? And let's say that you took that money and you bought Bitcoin and it went down and you lost money, right? If
Yeah.
you would have pulled out, you would have locked those losses in. So when you pull
Right.
out, you lock in the losses. That's why you never pull out or sell low like that. Because anytime you sell, whether it's high or low, you're either locking in the gain and realizing it, or you're locking in the loss and realizing that. If you don't pull out, you don't lose anything. That's where people have to kind of get the mindset right on it. You only get fucked if you participate, right? So if I have 1,000 wave tokens and somebody else sells a shit ton of wave, and the value of those wave tokens drops, and I do absolutely nothing. I hold, I don't sell, I don't do nothing, and I wait. The value of those tokens are going to go back up, and eventually I'm going to, unless it's, especially if it's a product or a service or an asset that you know is going to be around. So everyone knows that, like, I'm not going to crash wave, right? I will literally take my own money and put into wave just so it doesn't. And people know that, right? So when it's an asset like that, you know it plans on staying around for a while. So just hold it, man. Don't sell. Just wait. When you log into your wallet and it looks like you lost $50,000, that's just the price per token that you've lost. So if it's worth $1 now and you feel like you've lost money and you hold it and it goes back up to $10, you didn't lose anything.
Yeah, I only sell for two reasons. One, to get out completely, or I sell high because I believe that the pump is inflation, that it is actually over the asset's true market value to buy back a larger position.
All right. I get it. So
Yeah,
back to the Bitcoin thing. If you sold when Bitcoin lost money, you locked in those losses, right?
right.
And fast forward to now, you'd be pretty pissed off, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Be pretty pissed off if you had 100 Bitcoin for a couple pennies and you lost a little bit of money and you pulled out of that savings account, building you that little small percentage, and Bitcoin
But there are
lost you.
those people who traded those 100 Bitcoin and bought back in 200, and but it
Yeah.
is the rare case probably.
Well, but you know what? Those people that did that had their plan. They had their business plan, and that was their
Right.
plan, was to sell off, take that money. That's the only time I sell anything. That's the only time I pull out of an investment generating interest, period. I'm not selling shit unless what I'm about to sell, I'm going to take the money and invest into another investment that's going to build more money. Other than that, I'm not pulling. Why would I shut down something generating 5% and then blow it? Or shut down something generating 10% and then put it into something generating 1%? The only reason I'm doing that is if that thing generating 1% is something that I'm absolutely almost sure of is going to be generating 100% fucking very soon. Other than that, I'm letting it ride, bro. If it's making me money, I'm going to keep letting it make me money. I will literally live like a pauper on the street and drive around like I'm broke because I don't want to pull out of an investment to spend on some shit that is what, shiny and new for a second, makes you happy for a minute. You know how many pairs of shoes I have? I bought them because I thought I needed them, and now I don't wear them. I got a whole closet full of Air Maxes and fucking Air Force Ones that I don't even wear. It's just stupid. I could have took all that money and had it building money, but instead I bought a bunch of shoes. I've got some of the same exact pair, just in different colors. And it's so stupid. I wear house shoes most of the time. It's
Yeah, that ain't no bullshit.
for real. I'm in house shoes right now. I'm in SpongeBob and Patrick house shoes. But it's a mindset, bro. He's right about that. But this is the kind of stuff that gets you out of that consumer mindset, is doing these things right here. The first thing you got to start doing is you got to start caring. If you're one of those people that wakes up in the morning and you just go fucking off and whatever, well, dude, don't complain about your fucking bank account. Don't bitch because you ain't got no money. I do not want to hear you cry because your finances are fucked up when you don't even fucking check them. The first thing I do when I wake up is I hit the fucking accounts. I check the banks, I check my stocks, I check my crypto, I check my bonds, I check all the investments, everything that I've got tied to commerce and generating money and income. I check it, right? Because if you're out of sight, out of mind, if you're aware of it, at least you're paying attention and you'll know, right? If you're not paying attention, you're not going to do shit about it because you're not paying attention. And so it's kind of like the worst thing that someone can do is be like haphazard or procrastinate on something or just not be attentive to something, but then complain about it. Like, man, I wish I could make some more money, or man, I wish I wasn't so broke. Well, if you don't want to be so broke, stop doing some broke shit. Nobody makes money not paying attention to money. And then small tricks like building a plan, having something that you can go back and look at and say, oh shit, I did pretty good on this aspect, but I kind of sucked on these are the things I could do better. Or you also have that that goal or that list to go back and look and see like how far you've came. It's just being aware of it. Once you're paying attention to it, you actually start to take steps. It's like before I cared about business and started watching, shit like I didn't do shit. I didn't do none of this business stuff because I didn't care about it. I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't know anything about it because I didn't care to know. So you really got to start with where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? And what is your goal? Is your goal to make $1,000 this week? If so, build you a plan to make $1,000 and stick to it until you get that $1,000. If your plan is to make $1,000,000 in 5 years, well, then build that plan and stick to it. And don't fucking worry if you only got $5 today. As long as you're taking those steps and you're building that fucking plan and you're trying to hit that goal of 1,000,000, when you hit it, you're not going to fucking think or care or worry about those times that you only had $20. You're a millionaire. The last thing you're caring about is $20. And the last thing you're really worried about is having enough money to support yourself. But when you're kind of on the build and on the come up and you're starting your journey, that's all you're worried about. I got to make enough money to support myself. Oh, I got to worry about this. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to. And then people do the same stupid shit. They say, well, when I got some extra money, then I'll start investing. Bro, if you're a consumer, you're never going to have extra money because the moment you get some extra money, you're going to think of something else that you need to spend it on and buy. And it's so crazy because it's something as simple as you could take $50 now and you could go buy, whatever it is you're trying to buy. Or you could take that $50, you could invest it for 2 or 3 weeks, pull that $50 out, go buy whatever the fuck it was that you wanted to buy, and you still got that $50 generating money. So it's like completely insane. You're gonna fucking be broke to buy something for $50 when you could just take that $50, invest it, wait, and then get it for free and still have the $50 generating income to do it again in 2 or 3 weeks. But they'll take that money and blow it instead. The meeting will probably be, yeah, we got less than a minute, guys. So this one's about to wrap up too.